Alright, so today I will talk about fur in Houdini, and this is pretty the same like in Maya, and I will talk about most of these buttons and will describe how it works, and then I will show how to add dynamics to the fur and how it's communicate with other dynamic objects in the scene. Also, I will cover how to change the color of the fur and apply a custom texture to this. And also I will talk a bit about rendering of the fur. Alright, so let's get started. As usual, we need to create a new scene and let's create a grid. Just a simple grid, make sure that you have it as a polygon. And let's increase the resolution of the grid to 15 by 15. Okay, so now we need to add fur to this. So select the grid and go to the fur tab here on the top. If you don't have this, you can click on the plus button, shelves, and hit on fur. Alright, so add fur. And once I click on the shelf button, it adds fur to my grid. So you may see that it's different in length and it's not straight. There is some noise and randomness. All right, so let's talk about main parameters we have here. So first is my grid, nothing here. It's absolutely the same, even nothing inside. And second node is a grid object fur, and let's select this. All right, here we have basic tab and display. This turns off not the fur. Well, actually, it turns off fur, but now we have guide fur, which is a bit different thing. So let's go to clump, turn off clump. Here's guide guard off. Okay. And all right, so now on the fur left, I will tell more about things I turned off, so don't worry about this. Okay, so currently I have on the fur. First parameter is type. I can switch to polygon. So now it's not the curves, actually, it's polygons. All right, yeah, it's some kind of trash here. And but normally it's just NURBS. And if I switch to polygon, you see that it's more angled and not so smooth. All right, next parameter is length, which is pretty obvious. Okay. Segments is basically tells how many segments per each hair we have. So 1, 2, 3, 4. If I set 5, so you see it's like controlling the quality of each hair. In case of NURBS, we basically don't need more than 4 because you see that it gives more detail, but sometimes it can turn into something unrealistic or well, however, hairs are can be really different, so hard to say unrealistic or so. But let's leave it for now. Distribution seed is well, seeding is always just a random function, and flat, yeah. So distribution seed, if I change it, you see it just randomly change the position of the hairs. All right, display density. This is like a multiplier which controls the density of the hair in viewport. So if I set to 0, I have nothing. I can add a bit more and more. So we see it's getting more hairs, while by fact there is a lot of hairs, but the display density is just low. So I'll bring it back to 35. And these parameters can be different actually after you create them, because it's calculated by the calculation driven by size of the geometry. So display ratio, it's also like a multiplier. And render density, this parameter controls the density of the hair during rendering. So if I change it now, nothing happens. But if I try to render it, so now I have 0, and if I increase the density here, so you see how it works. Okay, and let's bring it back to 1000. And here is material, which we will talk a bit later. All right, and let's go to appearance. And here I have thickness. There is two ways to control the fur in Houdini, or hair. The first one, you can set up it here by ramps and values. And the second way is to paint the attributes. I think the painting of attributes is really nice because it gives you a lot of control about fur, but sometimes it's easier to just set some parameters. So blending of these two probably will give you the best result. All right, so thickness, well, it's self-describing, so let's go back to render. And if this is ramp, you see, so this this controls each hair thickness from the root to the tip. So I can set something like this. All right. So now I have pretty thick tips and really thin roots. Oh yeah, I forgot to move the camera. So let's try on this side. So you see that roots are really thin, and if I make a snapshot and do it like so, you can see the difference. And since it's a ramp, I can set anything I want. So this can be something like this. Okay, let's render. Yeah, all right, that's not really working, but maximum thickness. All right. So yeah, you see that it can be really, really huge hairs. This actually looks like oil painted or something like this. All right, let's go Z back. Houdini really don't like when I use my Russian keyboard and trying to hit some hotkeys. It just doesn't recognize it, so I need to switch all the time. All right. So here is a minimum thickness and the maximum one. Like so. Probably I need to make them longer to make it work, because now the change are really uh, the value changes really fast, so it's hard to see the difference. Yeah. Okay. So from bottom to the tip. I can apply the texture, which will be like a thickness map. So let's say I will use a default Houdini picture, which is if you hit open, here is HFS Houdini file system Houdini pictures, and there is a bunch of images which is here by default. So let's select Mandrill or Mandrill, I don't know, and render it. Well, thickness is not the best example for this, but you see that here has become different. All right, so I will delete this, revert to default. Let's bring length back to something small, and maybe a bit less hairs for sake of speed. Yeah, fine, like so. Uh, okay, that's appearance. So thickness, shape. Here we can attach um, the length map. So yeah, now you can see that um, the shape of the mandrill is showing up. Mm, yeah, something like this because of or I can apply the clay material to this to avoid the specularity. Um, Render materials, clay. Yeah. So I'll add a bit. Yeah, right. Let's bring it to 0. So probably you can see the monkey face here. I will open it in a second. So here is the mandrill image picture. Yeah, it's kind of possible to see it here. All right. So what I was talking about. um, fur. Okay, so that was a length map. Um, it's possible to blend it here, blend between no map and the full map. Randomize length, which is randomizing it, so you can see it if I do it so. So now everything is even, now everything is random. Density map is the same stuff. So the density basically controls where where we will have a lot of hair, where we will have not so much. So on brighter spots we have more. On darker, we have less. Okay. Cut map. I'll delete those. Cut is basically like cutting hair. So I need to go this way. So you see the hairs on a cut become really short, while on where is no cut, it's longer. The parameters in Houdini is usually are really self-explaining, so it shouldn't be a problem to figure out what's going on here or at another place. And displacement, it should be black and white, so probably mandrill will not work, but I will try. Well, okay, it's working, but probably not really correctly. So okay, so I delete this and bring everything to default. Freeze. Well, for me, this word means nothing because it's not like freezing in the refrige, but it just do something. And yeah, I've checked the Google Translator and now I know the meaning of this word. But okay, so freezing is making coral hairs. Those who maybe don't know this. And by changing this, I can control. So again, this is the root, this is the tip. So I'm curling the root now. And to make it work, it's necessary to have long hairs to be able to see the really strong result. Maximum. So yeah. So from straight hairs I can go to something really insane. And again, this is ramp, so it's fully controllable. Amplitude, well, controlling amplitude, frequency, and yeah, just all black and white. So you attach map, and this do what it say. Clump. Clumping is pulling together the patches of hair. I will decrease the display density. Something like this. And yeah, clump. So now I can change the density value. And here also is a radius parameter. So it basically defines the area uh, where the hairs will be clamped. So 0.1, 1 or 0.1, 5. Yeah, so it's just changing this tightness. And the reason why it doesn't work so well is that I turned off in the beginning the guide curves, guide hairs. So if I turn it off for a moment and I will increase the density, you can see that now my hairs start to assembling into patches. So something like this. All right. And if I make it even longer or shorter, you see that it's like sticking to some uh, to one invisible hair, like so. All right. So let's turn off clamp parting. Um, this like create well, the parting in the hairs in the hair, but I found it's easier to comb the hair instead of add parting. Okay, so next up is hairs, white hair, and that's adding the white hairs here. Probably too much. This is also a random function. So, but if you wish, you could add more white hairs on the side of the face near the ears, or I don't know how this is called. So yeah. Okay, and you can apply a map. All right, so now guard, and that's guard hairs works like um, they keeping the shape of the hair. Or possible to say that guard are keeping the parameters of the hair. Okay, guides. This can be used like when I was showing you a clump. This used like a guide curve, so the hairs around it are interpolate the parameters. So I can do it like this. And density. That's not showing up, which is strange. It should be this color. All right, but they are here. And scatter guides are basically, it should be turned off if you're going to build your own shape of the hairs, because otherwise it'll be really hard to paint. It'll be impossible to paint the uh, desired shape, because this scattering of the guide curves will override your job, so it will override what you're doing. All right, and here is parameters for the guide curve. Physical, this one is for simulation. Skin, here you can define the skin object of the fur. So let's create a new scene like this and create a torus and a sphere, for example. No, let's dive inside of torus and create spheres here. sphere here. Okay, let's create a groups. Well, this can be done way more easier, but this just to show how it works. Okay, let's call it torus group, and this one is sphere group. Group and group. Okay, so now let's merge. Yeah, and now for Houdini, it's just one object. Okay, something like this. So I can now select this and add fur. Okay, and it drops the fur to the whole object. But here on skin, I can choose, for example, let's say I want to have fur only on the sphere. So I can create null here and sphere out. Okay. For Houdini, this will be still the same object, but my fur node can take only the torus. So I'm going back to fur, and I can apply it to sphere out. Sure, I connected to torus. Okay, yeah. So now you see how easy I can switch just because it's connected to this name. All right. Or there is another way, complete group. So complete group allows to hide a piece of geometry. So now it's on the sphere, and now it's on the torus. However, the fur is on both of them. So, and now I see only the hairs. Well, currently I see not only the hairs, but the guard, white, and something else, clump. Yeah. So now I have only the hairs. All right. So I can like temporarily hide the objects, the fur on the objects. Okay. Display offset is telling how far the fur will grow from actual surface. And if I render it now, uh, this should work. That's really strange. Maybe the change is really small. Nope. All right, so yeah, but this should work. Okay, and render. Here is the render parameters. Um, so that's all about basic parameters. And now let's talk about painting custom map. So all right, let's say I want to, yeah, I will create a new scene. I'll create a grid. a bit more resolution, like so. Add fur, and appearance, clump, turn off clumping, and turn off guard, and turn off white. So yeah, now I have only the actual fur. All right, so let's say you have a pretty complex geometry, and you want to paint your own density map. So that's pretty easy here. So you need to select the fur and click on Paint Density shelf button, like this, and it's automatically bring you to your fur and skin node. If we go up one level, you can see that there is a lot of sub nodes under the fur. So we need the skin. And here we got two new nodes, add fur density and paint fur density. So here we can paint our own density map. All right, but as you may see, by default, I have all my fur here. And you definitely can remove the fur like this by um, deleting the fur like so, but this is tedious and very inaccurate way because you can skip just one fur and this like here, and this will annoy you a long time. So that's not really a good way to do it. And instead we want to delete all the fur by default, so the geometry is bold. And to do this, you need to select Add Fur Attribute Node. And here we have value, which is 1 by default. So set it to 0. And now I have 0 density across all my geometry, which is absolutely fine. So now select the paint fur density. If you have just um, a hand cursor or arrow cursor, but not like mine, select the paint node and bring it to viewport and hit enter, or try to hit enter above this. Yeah. Okay, so now I can paint. If I start paint now, my brush is really rough, and I'm painting it really fast. So I need to decrease front color to 1 and opacity to something small, like this. So now you see the hairs I'm drawing behaves really different. And there is also a little optimization about how to paint this. We can hide other objects, like so, here. And this will show the texture I'm actually painting. You can play with those parameters to make it look better, or don't forget that you can make it look darker, like this. So yeah, so like so. Well, it's just a personal choice, you know, like this. So let's say I draw something like this, and that's the fur. That's controlling the density of the fur I am creating. Okay. Here is also we have a lot of different paint band, for example, paint comp. And painting comp, I will show you one technique which will uh, help to speed up the process. So I will apply to all like a flood. flood the surface. So now it's all covered with hairs. And let's say I want to comb the fur. I select the fur, hit enter, and now I can comb. But now it works fine. There is no performance issues, so I can comb it. But let's say I have a really hairy character or object, I don't know, and display density set to high value, and the surface is really huge, so I have millions and millions of the hair. Yeah, definitely I can decrease the display ratio and keep combing it. But that's one way, but sometimes it can be really slow. Alright, so there is an problem solving. What you can do, if you select the comb, you see that we have a third direction attribute. So let's copy this and let's go to display options here, or you can hit D and go to the markers. Here we have different features which can be turned on in viewport, but also we can create a custom one. So you basically can create, you can visualize any attribute you have in the scene. So let's create a vector display option and give it a name of our attribute. And the most important attribute, so let's paste the third direction into here and hit apply. Okay, so now let's activate this parameter. And you see that in viewport I got my normals. So I can hide other. And now I have a normals which is showing the third direction attribute. And this normals is way more responsive and works a lot faster than actual fur. So you can have millions of this and you will not have the drop off in performance. So like this, right? Make everything visible, and here it is. The fur is here, and you see that even if there is no issue with performance, the fur behavior is a bit more laggish than if I would draw it with normals. So, all right. And by this way, you can visualize any parameter you wish. Okay, so now let's paint bend or paint bend. Yeah, okay, paint. Select fur, bend. And you see the bending is a bit more slow, but what it's doing, yeah, it's bending the hairs down. Uh, if if I draw with middle mouse button click, it's erasing. So yeah, instead of bending it, it's lifting it like this. All right, paint bend noise. It's well, it's doing what I say. It's adding a bit of noise to a band attribute. Uh, you can find all attributes for attributes in Houdini help. So let me show. Oops. All right, and yeah, give me a second. So here it is. you can find some of the attributes in the help. So it's side effects, docs, Houdini, notes, stuff. So yeah, or you can search it here. All right. So paint length, again, it's doing what it say. Paint thickness. The paint thickness attribute is not really visible in viewport. So let's turn this off. Okay, paint thickness. But if you render it, you will see that here hairs are more thick than here. So you can try all these maps by yourself, and yeah. So now I will talk a bit more about shading of the hair. So let's go to upper level and then select Grid Object Fur and dive inside. And here we have skin. Oh no, not skin, excuse me. It should be in the fur. Yeah, fur. And here we have ShopNet, which is storing all the shaders for the fur. And those three are Vex, which we haven't covered. So just let it go for now. And there is actually nothing to change. But here is textured hair, which is shader for the hairs we have here. And if I back to surface from OpenGL, I can control the texture and the color of my hair. So let's render it. And currently there is a leopard skin texture applied to the hairs. So I will delete this. Like so. So now only this hair color ramp is used. So here is density. And let's say I want to apply some texture to roots. Let's say it's mandrill. And nothing is visible now because I need to apply the same texture to the tips. And here it is. I have the mandrill applied to the fur. Here I have the ramp, which will blend the texture and the hair color. So if I remove everything here, we'll set it to black. So that's how it looks now. Yeah, I don't know. Let's make it this funny color. Um, yeah, bring it to default. So that's how it works. All right. White hair. I can set the color for white hairs here, and probably I have no white hairs, so that's why. Reflection, specular intensity, so I can make them really matte or really shiny. And here's also ramp to control it, and you can apply the texture again. So the workflow here is totally the same. You're just applying the textures, and that's all. That's working. Opacity, semi-transparent hairs. Well, I believe this parameter shouldn't be touched because, yeah. Okay, so now let's try to make the hairs more realistic. The problem now that there is no shadow and there is no light. So I have camera in the scene. And let's go to lights and cameras and create environmental light, like so. And let's render. Okay, it's become really, really dark. Let's make it brighter. Yeah, I'll create a new new fur, just because I changed a lot and touched too much. So like this, I will render the brand new. Okay, I'll create a new environmental light. Just delete the previous one, and yeah, it's still that part, but yeah, it's fine. Um, let's compare. So this one with shadow, and that's one without shadow. Wait, that's the yeah. Okay. I will turn off the shadow and just bring back the light. So that's how it looks with and without shadow. Yeah. So the difference is really huge. All right. And now let's create a simple dynamic. I will leave this fur. I will just make it a bit longer, like so. Uh, let's go to rigid bodies and create a ground plane, like so. Hit play, nothing happens, fine. And now you need to go to fur, scroll a bit, and select your fur first, and add dynamics. It's the last button here on the shelf. Alright, so now I have dynamics on the hairs. Not much happens here, but let's change some of the parameters. And inside of Autodesk Network, it creates ground plane, which is really familiar. And here is guides node, merge, and wire solder. All right, so I can add a bit angular velocity like this, or just velocity. Okay, here I have also a material tab which describes physical parameters, uh, elast elastic elasticy and plasticy. And if I turn on the plastic deformation, enable plastic deformation in wire solder, and will control the plasticity in guides. This should keep the form of the fur after it has been deformed. So let's create a tube. In my case, it should be Z axis. Make it bigger. Okay, let's fuse it. All right, and let's convert this tube into RBD object. Dive inside into Autodept Network, and let's give a bit more angular velocity to this tube. So once it's falling down, this will spin and roll. Whoa. That's strange. It should fall down. Angular velocity. Okay. Yeah, alright. Not angular, but rotation. What's wrong? Yeah. Alright, so I need to set it to -1000. And this is not colliding, which is fine because it's necessary to change the order. No, it's not working. Oh, and sure, I forgot to change to primitive type from primitive to polygon. That's really important. Okay, and now it should work. So yes, now it's hitting the grass and rolling. And you see that grass is just deformed by the tube. The only issue that I've been trying to make this the elasticity work, but it's not working for me. Probably I should investigate it a bit more, but I've tried a lot of different settings and parameters, and the grass is keep holding the initial shape while it should be like deformed, and the footprint of this tube should be left on the grass. Probably if I decrease the elasticity, I can't pronounce this. Sorry. Well, yeah, it behaves different, but it's not what I was expecting for. Well, it's kind of holding the shape after it has been deformed. So bend threshold. Something like this. It's all about trying and finding the right numbers. So yeah, I would say that the grass is holding the shape because it's got the this this form, but it's stretched too much. Yeah. Well, at least it's somehow working. So once once you need this, you can spend a bit more time and probably find right numbers. Or we have Perfect Place to ask for help, which is official side effects forum. And yeah, you always can ask something here and people will answer you in really short time. Okay, so that's probably all about fur. It's pretty powerful and simple. Well, relatively simple tool in Houdini. So now you can use this. Um, Thank you for watching and see you next time.